Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session we will be discussing from the 38th verse of the 17th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a fresh session which is continuing from the previous session. Previous session we discussed part 1 of this 38th verse. Now we will discuss part 2, and in the next session we will discuss part 3, because there is a very big purport here written by Srila Prabhupada for this verse. So I will just read this verse once again. The 38th verse of the 17th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Suta Vacha Abhyarthitas Tada Tasmai Sthanani Kalaye Dadau Dyutam Panam Striya Suna Yatra Adharmas Chaturvidhaha. The meaning of this verse is, Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, thus being petitioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution and animal slaughter were performed. So Maharaj Parikshit gave Kali Purusha 4 places. Dyutam Panam Striya Suna. Dyutam means gambling, Panam means drinking, and Striya means prostitution, and Suna means animal slaughter. So we discussed in the previous session that the basic principles of irreligiosity, they counteract the 4 principles of religion, and we discussed how the counteraction happens in the previous session. Now Srila Prabhupada says in the purport further, the personality of Kali was given permission to live in 4 places particularly mentioned by the king, namely the place of gambling, the place of prostitution, the place of drinking and the place of animal slaughter. 4 specific places were given for Kali Purusha by Maharaj Parikshit. So now something about what is Dharma and what is Adharma as regards these 4 activities are specifically explained by Srila Prabhupada with reference to Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary on this verse in his writings. Srila Jiva Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis, the direct disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Srila Prabhupada says in the next part of the purport, Srila Jiva Goswami directs that drinking against the principles of scriptures such as the Sautramani Yajna, association with women outside of marriage, killing animals against the injunctions of scriptures are irreligious. Irreligious means adharma. 3 things are specifically mentioned: drinking against the principles of scriptures, association with women outside marriage, killing animals against the injunctions of scriptures are all adharma, are all irreligious. Now, we have to carefully understand what does it mean that these acts are irreligious only if they are against the scriptures, and what do scriptures allow in terms of drinking, illicit connection with women, and or rather association with women, and killing animals. What do scriptures say? So Prabhupada first of all clarifies, in the Vedas, two different types of injunctions are there for the pravrittas and for the nivrittas. So dharma or scriptural injunctions are there differently explained for two different categories of persons. Who are the pravrittas? Pravrittas are those who are engaged in material enjoyment, and nivrittas are those who are liberated from material bondage. So pravrittas are those who are regular ordinary people. They are somehow in ignorance and they are engaged in material enjoyment. So what is the scriptural injunctions of practicing dharma for the normal people, ordinary people, the pravrittas, those engaged in material enjoyment? And what are those scriptural injunctions specifically meant for nivrittas, or those liberated from material bondage? There are different injunctions. So Srila Prabhupada further says, the Vedic injunction for the pravrittas, the ordinary people, those engaged in material enjoyment, is to gradually regulate their activities towards the path of liberation. So the injunctions in the scriptures are meant to regulate the activities of the ordinary common people, so that these common people progress towards liberation. Not that they follow the scriptures and they remain in bondage. No. The aim of the Vedas, whether it is for the pravrittas or nivrittas, is ultimately to free them from material bondage and to help them progress after becoming liberated to go back to Godhead. We should not forget this. Merely attaining liberation from material bondage is not enough. There is a further progress to be made after liberation to go back to Godhead, where we all belong. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada further says, for those who are in the lowest stage of ignorance and who indulge in wine, women and flesh, there are scriptural rules how to regulate their activities in this connection. How to regulate their drinking, how to regulate their association with women, how to regulate them in the matter of eating flesh. So for drinking liquor, for the pravrittas, there is a injunction that they may drink liquor after performing Sautramani Yajna. The pravrittas may associate with women only through marriage, and the pravrittas may eat animal flesh after offering a goat in sacrifice. So, we should always remember that these recommendations in the Vedas for the pravrittas is meant for pravrittas only and not for everyone. It's not meant for everyone. So these pravrittas for whom such allowance is given are those in the lowest stage of ignorance. They are tamasic people. They are situated in tamoguna. So it is not meant for those who are not in tamoguna. It's not meant for those in rajoguna or sattva-guna, no. So when the people who are tamasic, they indulge in drinking liquor or eating flesh, animal flesh, or they indulge in associating with women, they may do so according to the injunctions of the scriptures by following the sacrifice meant for offering a goat to Kali, or by offering some liquor to again Kali in Sautramani Yajna, or they may associate with women after getting married to them according to the Vedic injunctions. So, for such tamasic people, under Vedic regulation, which is meant for tamasic people, pravrittas, there is no consideration of sin. There's no consideration of being punished by being sent to hell if they kill a goat and offer it in sacrifice to Kali, or if they offer wine in a Sautramani Yajna and then partake of the remnants of such offering, or they indulge in sex with a woman after being duly married to that woman. So, this is for the pravrittas, those who are in the lowest mode of ignorance. But that does not mean for those who are in the modes of passion and goodness, for the Rajasic and Sattvic people, to indulge in any sort of drinking or any sort of meat eating is sinful and punishable in hell. So these injunctions in the scriptures are only for tamasic people. It is not meant for everyone. So Srila Prabhupada says, one man's food may be poison for others. Similarly, what is recommended for those in the mode of ignorance may be poison for those in the mode of goodness. So, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada says that recommendations in the scriptures for a certain class of men are never to be considered adharma, irreligious for them. But in general, for people who are not in the tamasic stage, all such activities are never to be encouraged and they are factually adharma. For sattvic people and rajasic people, the recommendations like Sautramani Yajna, etc., are actually not to be followed. For them, all sorts of meat eating and all sorts of drinking liquor are prohibited. So therefore, one has to be very careful that simply because the Shastras allow for a certain class of people some animal sacrifice or offering of wine in some yajna and then partaking the remnants doesn't mean everyone can do it. No. So this clarification Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purport to this particular verse, the 38th verse, which says that Kali Purusha was given 4 places, and one has to be careful, and the later verses and purports will clarify this more. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.